Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we're gonna take this flange off and make this other half of this mold. I'll explain it as we go along. I gotta put some more mold releaser on that. I'll explain that as I do it. So let's get going on it. Thanks for watching, you guys. Let's build a camper mold. I'm gonna take the clecos off, pull that flange off, and then I'm gonna have to treat it with releaser. It's gonna be very delicate. You don't want to disturb the molded surface, so when you pull this off, you got to be really careful. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So when I'm pulling this thing, I'm pulling in between the flange we made and the flange plug we made, because I can't pull from the bottom here because that would pull up, and then that would want to try to pull this part of the mold off of the plug. So see, it's getting released right there. I'm going to go ahead and pull that off there and get some releaser on it. So I've pulled that plug off. Now we have our flange. So that's the actual mold. That's the flange on the mold right there. I filled all these tooling marks in with wax. I've treated that, chemically treated that with releaser. This is something that I've said in a couple other videos. You see how this is overhanging? I can't trim that now. I can't do anything to that because the vibration will cause it to release from the mold there. You see how we got such a tight fit? Just always try to trim that off when it's wet with scissors. I always try to remember, but I forget. But you're stuck working with that now, and that sucks because when I pulled that out, I had to kind of peel the flange back and off of that. But you can see our flange there. My phone will focus. There you go. See how tight that is? Nice tight fit. This is actually just some wet mold releaser still. Gonna let that all set up. And now I gotta spray it with tooling gel. This green tooling gel sucks. This red stuff is the stuff you want to use. This green stuff is garbage. Okay, I got the tooling gel on there. We're just waiting for it to tack up so we can laminate it. I'm going to put a resin coat on it to keep it from doing that. That's an alligator reaction right there. That's a chemical reaction. And it's because I applied the second coat of gel coat too late. The first coat was tacked up, and when it hit it, it started to do that. But it stopped. It's good. And it's on the flange, so it's not going to disturb us. It's actually outside of the trim too. We're going to trim that off like right about there. So we got our resin coat on there already. Our skim ply is going on right now, the 1.5 ounce to do the air ply. And I just wanted to show you guys something really quick. I always forget that people don't know how to do this, so I just assume when I start trying to tell somebody something, they already know. Anyway, you see the bubbles right there on that edge? This is a real sharp edge, and you want to try to avoid sharp angles if you can. The way to get those out is you want to pull your material tight. So you don't want to go up, roll up. You want to roll down and over it, and it's going to start pulling the material down, and it tightens the material up on that corner. The other thing is, if it doesn't want to do it, if it doesn't want to work out for you, like see how that's giving me a hard time right there? You just keep putting more material on it. The only way with a sharp angle like that is you can put resin on it and push it down, and then when it comes up, it'll suck resin into it. And that's not making very good quality parts. You're just increasing your resin content when you start doing that stuff. So you can just put a little piece of material like a coarse cloth or a fine cloth on that and pull it tight on both ends with a squeegee, and it will tighten that up for you and it'll get rid of that air. So you see how we got this angle right here? I'm going to pull away from it like this. I'm not going to roll towards it, because if I roll towards it, I'm going to make the material, all the mat, bunch towards it, and that's what makes those bubbles appear. Is it's the material trying to rise away from it. That one right there, I'm going to have to put more material on that to get that to go. There is 2 layers of 1.5 ounce mat. We had to put 2 layers of 1.5 ounce to get the corners to stay down. It's a secret and a trick with fiberglass is if your edges start to curl up, pull the material tight away from the edges, so roll it down that way and roll it that direction, and then put another layer over the top of it. It helps it bed down. Nobody really likes to admit it, but what happens is the radius right there just absorbs resin into it, and it fills the voided areas. But you can tighten it up the best you can by pulling it when you roll away from it. Don't roll into it because it'll just bunch it up. Roll away and it tightens it up. We're going to put 1 layer 3 ounce on it now, so just like the other side, we're going to need to have 1 layer minimum of 1.5 ounces and a minimum of 3 layers of 3 ounce mat. Back on it this morning. Yesterday we did 1 layer of 1.5 ounces, actually 2 layers of it. It's called the air ply, so I kind of wanted to get a really good air ply on it, so we added a couple plies of the 1.5 ounces. So now we've had 1 layer of 3 ounce mat on top of that as well, and we ran out of time, so we quit. We're coming back to do it today. So this is what you got to do if you're going to do your laminations like that. You'll have a lot of little prickly stuff. I don't know if my camera's going to see that right there. Well, your material's not going to lay down on that, so you can just run a piece of sandpaper over it. Usually it only just takes once. Like, you can just go over it one time like this, and it'll knock all those little prickly burrs off of there. And then you can just add your other laminate to it, which is 2 more layers of 3 ounce fiberglass mat is what we're going to put on it now. If you want real details of how to do this stuff, in the videos when we were building up to this, I did some lamination videos that are in really in detail. So if you want to see how the resin's mixed and what kind of resins we use and all the stuff, it's in the other videos. This one, we're just trying to get this mold done so we can move on and start building the walls and the roof. We got to build a rotisserie for this mold because it's so big and it sucks to try to move this thing around as you're laminating it. So thanks for watching. We're going to get this part done, and then we're going to try to enjoy some of the Memorial Day weekend. Thank you. And there it is. It's 3 layers of 3 ounce fiberglass mat with polyester resin rolled out. 1 layer of the 1.5 ounce peel ply. I know I keep repeating myself, but there's not a whole lot to describe on this part of it. It's just tooling gel, air ply, which is the 1.5 ounce mat, and then the 3 ounce over the top of that. So if you want to learn about how to roll it out and work with it more, go watch the previous videos. This one is just more about how to make this 4-piece mold, which you can see. This is one part. Then we made those seams, which we showed you in the other videos. So now we'll bolt those together. We'll make ribbing that goes and connects to there, and ribbing down the side of it like that to make it so it doesn't flex. This part right here, that stuff's really going to want to flex back and shrink as the fiberglass that's doing that right angle. It's going to want to shrink itself back and pull away, so we'll put more stiffeners in there and we'll show you how to do that when we get around to that part. But yeah, next we got to make this part and then the back part of it, and we'll be done with the layup of the mold besides the stiffeners and the coring of it. And then we have to make a rotisserie for it to sit on so that we can rotate the mold. But yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. If you guys have any questions, just go ahead and ask. This is pretty straightforward, simple stuff right now. Doing mat layup. Don't worry about all this crap. We'll take a DA sander to it once we're all done laying it up. Which I guess I'll talk about that for a little bit. When you're sanding your mold, if you're making 2-piece molds and you stop laminating, don't ever sand the mold with a DA sander. That vibration will go in there and it'll release the fiberglass from your plug, so you'll get a pre-release. Always just lightly sand it by hand, don't press very hard. Here, let me explain this too, of why do you only lay up 1 layer of 1.5 ounce mat in a 3 ounce? Well, there's a couple reasons. One is it just takes a long time, so you spend like 4 hours doing this, you just stop. The other one is if you use a wax mold releaser on the plug, if you put layers of wax on it, the part all wax that we showed in the other videos, what can happen is if you put 1 layer of 1.5 ounce fiberglass mat and then 3 layers of 3 ounce fiberglass mat on top of that, this stuff will start to develop a chemical heat. Like, you see how it's real thick right here? That's because that's where everything's overlapping in these seams. That stuff will get so warm that it will melt the wax off of your plug, and then your mold will stick to your plug. So that's another reason why you don't want to put them all on at once. And it just kind of gives you an excuse to not do it all at once, because it's a lot of work to sit there and do that. You can use catalyst, like a 30% catalyst, and that'll prevent it from heating up. But I like to do it like this. I like to do half of it and then do the other half, because it just, you come back fresh on the project, not like, you just get burnt after 4 hours of rolling stuff out and mixing up resin. You just give yourself a little bit of a break. Do it in 2 sections like we did. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next videos.